Hello guys, it's Paula. Thanks for coming back to my channel. I appreciate it so much. I love all of you guys, and I appreciate you, and I just want you to know that. And welcome to all the new subscribers. Yay! I hope you enjoy the channel and have as much fun as I do. So today, I know it seems like we've been doing this and doing that, but during this whole time I've been working on a custom order, and I'm going to do a flip through on that. And it's been a real busy week for me. So anyway, I've started a new book, and I covered it today, and I would have showed you that. It's just that it's so time consuming. We couldn't do it in an hour. And I don't know if it's just me is the reason it's time consuming, but you know, I'm not super strong in my hands, and so it takes me a little longer to cover, you know, the whole book. So I had an old little golden book that was in poor shape, and I thought, I love that size, and so I thought I would cover it. Now, I know you can't tell a whole lot. This is the inside paper, and that's both sides. Now, here's the outside, and it is absolutely beautiful. As you can tell, I do love cardinals, and so the whole cover is covered, and there's the spine. Just worked out that I had a cardinal there. Actually, I did it on purpose. I didn't worry about the front having too many birds on it, because I'm going to decorate this. We're going to do that together. And then this is the back. Is that not stunning? And then, of course, the inside. And I put this little trim across the tops here. Okay, so I'm going to leave it flat while we decorate the front. Now, I've inked everything, and I've got it all ready to decorate. So let me pull the camera forward a little bit. I want to make sure you guys are able to see what's going on. Okay, I'll try not to move it. No promises, because my old lady, and I forget sometimes. And I get, you know, distracted during the process. So, okay, so let's get started. I have this little doily that's been around forever in my drawers, in my craft room. And I'm going to put it right here. Now, as you notice, we're keeping the female cardinal. This is the male. We're going to keep her. So I'm kind of doing the front up and to the right. Now, I could do it in the center, but for some reason, to me, let's fold it over and see. See, for some reason, it just feels like it needs to go right there to me. I hope you guys feel the same way. But, you know, we've got a bird up here sticking its head through, and all these beautiful berries. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick with my gut feeling on that. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and glue the doily down. And I'm, you know, going to put quite a bit, because I want it to stay, of course. But also the card will cover where the glue is. And I'm going to kind of leave the outer portions, I'm going to leave them, I'm down to the bottom of my glue, sorry. I'm going to leave them, let me see here, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I'm putting it on here right. I'm trying to remember how I had it. I think it was like this. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm just going to try to keep it as upright as possible and as squared up as possible. Okay, so like I said, I've had this little doily forever. It's vintage now because basically I've had it forever. But I bought it in the early years of my life, you know, after I had been married for a while. And I actually had time to do some crafting, or hoped that I could do some crafting. So I have this three-dimensional cardinal right here, and a couple holly leaves with berries. Now those are going to come into play in a minute. I've inked all of this with the Tim Holtz Distressed Oxide Iced Spruce ink. I didn't want these ornaments on here because, you know, we're not the theme. You know me, I have to do a theme. I think in my head I need to do a theme, or at least make things cohesive, you know, like they go together. And I know junk journals are just a little bit of everything, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, and I try to do that. I'm trying to work toward that. So I didn't over ink them, but this has a blue hue to it. So I want to put some blue on here, and you're just barely going to be able to see the doily, and that's okay. And the main thing is that you line this up with your book, and I will hold it up in a second and make sure it's straight before I glue it down. And then I put some fun foam. I'm going to put some fun foam that has adhesive on one side, and then I'm going to glue it down onto the blue so that it gives the Joy, the title of the book, which is Joy, some dimension. It lifts it up. Now, if this was on the inside of the book, I wouldn't do that because it would bulk it up. But since it's on the cover, I'm going to. Now, I'll tell you, there's white and there's off-white in this book. That's my junky part, guys. I know you're not supposed to mix white and off-white or cream, at least when you scrapbook. That's how kind of one of the rules. But I don't care. That's going to be my junky part of this. The majority of it is going to be white, but I just wanted to clarify that with everyone so you'll know why I did that. I did use a paper pad that was, what is that called? I don't know where the book is, but it's not Target, it's Michael's brand. Isn't that terrible? I can't even remember it. I want to say it's, anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's been around forever. So, it'll come to me, you know, by the next video. I'm going to make sure this is straight. And, let me see. Well, it would help if my doily was straight, wouldn't it? I didn't stand up and look at the doily. I'm sorry if I'm getting loud because I'm right over the phone. There. That's good enough. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfectly perfect. Perfectly perfect. It's a tongue twister for me. It doesn't take much to twist my tongue, let me tell you. Okay. Now, I'm just making sure it's straight this way and this way. Because that's something that would bug me, and I'm sure I still have hair dye under my fingernails. I have scrubbed them. I have done everything, but they're stained underneath, and they're not going it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Okay. All right, so there's that. Now we're going to, I just wanted a little bit of blue peeking out from this red sparkly Joy, because when it was up against that, you can see it kind of blends, and this helps it to pop, because there is, like I said, a blue hue in this book cover. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is, let me make sure how I cut this. I'm going to put the fun foam on to the Joy, because I know it will hold the Joy long term, and I'm still going to add a little bit of glue on there. You can buy the fun foam with adhesive on one side. I expect it won't be that long before they start having adhesive on both sides for crafters. I'm surprised they hadn't already. Yeah, listen, I had to go buy glue today because I've gone through the, putting on a cover like this, it takes more glue. Well, I didn't use the whole thing, but you know what I mean. Okay, I'm going to stand up again while I do this, I think. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit so I can kind of see what I'm doing. I want to make sure it's not sticking out over the edge, because that wouldn't look cool. Okay, and I'm going to press down on it so I can be sure that it's going to smooth out. Now, you could use Pop Dots. You could use, is it Scotch tape? Not like the Scotch tape you wrap, but Scotch brand. You can get it on a roll. I used to use that, and I still have a lot of it. I used to buy the giant rolls. Okay, now what we're going to do is put plenty of glue on this foam, because there's not any adhesive on this side. And then we'll put it down onto the blue mat. So, once again, we have to wait on this glue. I hope you guys have had a good day. And, I mean, we've had a crazy few days. Our little grandson is in the hospital, and he just spiked a fever, and he was in there last week because he spiked a fever, and he's back in again this week. I don't know if you guys know or not. I don't know if I've told any of you. I try to not blab everything, but our grandson, he is 5.5, and he's had a bone marrow transplant. So he's been sick, and I'm not going to go into details because my daughter might not like me doing that. But if you think of my grandson, say a prayer if you would like. Okay, so now if you move this too much, it will slide around because it's on that foam, because I can feel it trying to slide right now. I'm just going to look and I'm going to tilt it a little bit and make sure it's straight. Now, I'm not going to go crazy like pressing on it because I don't want it to move, obviously. Okay. Now, the next part is going to be simple. I mean, this whole thing is really simple. This little guy is on, he's got some Pop Dots or Scotch tape on the back of him, and I really should have added some more of the pop-ups, but I didn't really want to go crazy, so I figured that little bit will help keep him up. Now, I'm going to put glue on his feet. We'll see what happens. We might be able to see it because it's kind of see-through, but I just want to make sure he stays down too. So he's getting a glue bath right now. And yeah, there we go. Let's see what happens. I'm going to try to make it like he's sitting. You know what I'm saying here? Like he's sitting on this little piece of doily right here. The problem is with that, with this pop dot on the back, I think I'm going to have to put him up on the frame. It's going to cut off a little bit of the Y. The reason why is because there's too many layers. You don't want to be like I have been in the past, where you discover that after you stick it down. So he is going to be kind of sticking up in the air on this right side. But that's okay, because, you know, whoever has this book will just be very aware that they have to be gentle with their cover. And that's not a big deal. And actually, you could actually put some more pop dots up under there, and I might. But it really doesn't have to have it, because this is not flimsy. This bird is not a flimsy bird. Now, you can see the glue, but thank goodness this glue does dry clear. So we'll see what happens, because it's like an acetate or something that his feet have on them. So I'm just going to kind of hold him down, make sure everything's still straight since I pressed down on him. Okay, now I'm going to take, whoops, dropping. Anytime it's tiny, I'm clumsy with it. I'm going to take the Holly and Berries. It has one pop dot on it. And I'm going to see if I can just keep the glue right here. If it becomes a problem, I'll get something to scoop the glue up underneath. I want to cover these ornaments on this title page, or this title. And so, that's my goal, is to try to keep the glue pretty centralized here. Now, I am going to, you know, give it quite a bit, but I don't want it to show through. Let's do this one first. Now, this one's got two ornaments, and so you have to really kind of line it up to cover them up. And if you push too hard, the glue's going to ooze out, which it is right there a little bit, but that's okay. I want it to be, I'm trying to see here if it's going to show. I'm trying to keep it from showing the ornament. You're going to see little bits of it, but it's not that bad. Let me make sure. I'm going to tilt it up here. Now, if you look from the side or underneath, you would be able to see that something's under there, but I like that that covers it up pretty well. I looked for different, put this other one on while we're talking. I looked for a different tag, but this one just looked the best, and it was just the right size. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Michael's, not Target, Michael's, has a sale on their hot buy paper, you know, where they put it on sale, and they call it like a hot buy, for $6 and they have their Christmas paper in, just FYI. If you didn't know that, you need to run out to get some while it's on sale. Plus, they have 40% off of one, same coupon that you get at Hobby Lobby. So, you know, it's not big. All right, I'm going to hold this up so you can see. I'll give you some different angles. I like the way, I had 3 different birds. One was looking to the left, one was looking to the right, and this one was looking over his shoulder. And it just looked the best. I really wish that the word joy was more out there, but I looked at my different pins, and I was like, I don't want to take a chance. But I don't like that his little feet are acetate, but I think that'd be all right. Okay. All right. And again, this is the back. This is how it's going to look. I hope you guys like it, and I hope you enjoyed helping me put the cover on. I'm going to set this aside, And I'm going to show you if I can find a place to put it without knocking it over. I'm going to show you the paper. Now, it's not, I haven't inked it yet, but I just want to show you. I'm going to do 2 signatures, which is how I'm doing all of my Christmas books. Now, I might have to swap pages around and stuff because I don't want like red up against red. Do you know what I'm saying? I just think, so this is going to be the palette for the color palette for this book. Okay, now on one signature, the cardinals will be the lead paper, and on the second signature, the cardinals will be the center page. And because that's the only paper that has cardinals on it. I have other things, but now as far as the center goes for the opposite, I made you the poinsettias because they are just so out there, you know, and I told you I love poinsettias. I don't know what's come over me. Now that's for one of the signatures. The second signature, of course, I don't know which order I'm doing it in yet. I love these trees, and I will put a cardinal on the front of the trees. So this will probably be the lead paper when the cardinals are the center paper, okay? And let me put them in a different order. Here is a sweater print in red. So let's put that right there for now. This is what's inside the book cover. It's just berries, blueberries and red berries and little green berries. And then it's pine cones, which I might put right here because pine cones and trees, you think of them together, you know. And then I need something with red. How about this poinsettia page? I like the way that is. But I don't know that I like the berries right after that. Do you see what I'm saying? Let me see what's over on this other page that we might be able to swap out. I feel like the berries are too much like other things. See, this is 5 pages, 6 pages. I've got 6 pages for each signature, which I usually only do 4. So I don't know how it's going to end up being in the long run, but I'm thinking I need this to be, although the birds are going to be in the center, this has blue in it. I might swap the berries and this, well, no, because the sweater, this has green. It needs to go there. And then we'll put this here, and maybe we'll do it like that. Yeah, that will work. I hope you can see that without any problem. But this first signature, the white, was a sweater also. And I love sweater paper, you know, paper that looks like sweaters. So what I do is I decide on my paper first, and I cut it to size. You know, the book is 6 by 8, and I did 5 3/4 on the width and 7 3/4 on the height, I believe. And so I will get it all cut out like this, the size it needs to be, then fold it in half and then ink it. And I'm not going to do a heavy ink on this. And then I'll use tea stain paper and, you know, maybe some red vellum. I don't know yet on the vellum. And then just a variety of different papers. Okay, now I always put pockets in my book. I'm gonna put all these papers to the side and show you. I always get my paper ready, and then I take my scraps, you know, that's left, and I do all my tucks and tags and pockets and so forth, envelopes, whatever I want to do for the inside of the book for the decorations. Okay, so this pine cone and this spruce will go one in each signature. I don't know which one yet, but I stitch it down through here and it ends up being just a side tuck. That's what both of these are. That's why I round the corners here so it's easier to tuck underneath, and then I just do one stitch. So I cut these out, the length of the height of the book, I mean, and then I just decide how wide. I think these are 2.5 inch. Okay, and then I do a belly band, a vertical and horizontal belly band. And I did the long one with the cardinals, and then I did the snowflakes. So this will be like this in one signature, and this will be like this in another signature. And these are 2 different widths. I don't always do them exactly the same. I usually do 1.5 to 2 inches, or 1 3/4 usually. So that's the belly bands. And then I do the side pockets. Now, I did 3 sets of side pockets because at the last minute I decided I wanted to add some more blue, which this is the matte from the cover. And I always do a left and a right one. And if you can see here, I've rounded this corner and I just stitch down one side and down the other. And now I don't put them right together. They're in different parts. One's in each signature. Like one will be in this signature, one will be in the second signature. And these are the same. Now I'm not probably going to use them all. It's going to depend on what I need. And then here's the cardinal, a left and a right. Okay, now that's the side tucks. And then I did 3 sets of pockets because I don't know where I'm going to put them yet. So I did 2 of these, and I rounded the bottoms. And these will get stitched in. And here's 2 of the berries. And I rounded the corners. And 2 of the poinsettias. Okay, so this time, I do that every time I make a book. I just get it cut out. When I do the paper, I cut out all my tucks and so forth, so I don't have to stop and do it later. Now, probably I'll either use blue or red thread. It just depends on my mood that day and what I've got. So I decided this time, I don't usually make envelopes, but I did decide this time to make a couple envelopes. I just used my cutter. I didn't even measure. I just laid out a 12 by 4 is how it started. This is 4 wide, and it was 12 long, but now obviously I've cut some off. And I just scored it first of all. I scored the whole paper down the sides. And actually, I'm going to show you how I did it. That probably makes way more sense. I just use my scoreboard, and I just get a little stylus. And let me see what paper I have here that we can use. How about, I don't want to use that. Let's use the sweater. So this is bigger than let me see how wide this is. I could have swore it was 4. No, it's 3.5. I lied. I'm sorry. So we're going to do 3.5 inches wide. You just want to make sure it's lined up. And then I'm going to cut that inch off. Now, I think I just messed up. We're going to make it smaller because I did cut off. It did start off as 4 because of the fold-in tabs here on the side. I knew 4 stuck in my brain. So I've got this lined up here, and I'm going to do a small score line straight down the whole paper. And I am scoring on my cutting board, and I'm going to flip it around and do the same thing. Again, it's just enough to fold in for your envelope. And I'm going to bring it down there. Now I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to cut just inside of the score line, just inside of the tabs. And it's really hard to see on this paper because, can you guys see? sorry, I'm going to try to move this up a little bit. It's on my tripod, so it's at an angle. Sorry. I have to look straight down at it or I would turn it sideways. All right, so here's the score line. Okay, and I'm going to score just inside that. And you want to make sure everything's lined up. I'm not score, I'm going to cut with the cutting board. Okay. I'm lining everything up. Now, I'm just going to go up here so far. I'm just going to make sure it's enough that I want to cut to I'm going to go up to the 4 on here. And you want to watch that part of it because you want to stop your blade center with the number 4. Now, I'm going to move it over. This is kind of tricky because there's not that much paper, but I want to be able to see it. And you just line it up and make sure. And you're going to go ahead and once again, you want both sides to match. So you're going to cut up to the number 4. So you slow down when you get close because it does make a difference. Now, somewhere I will find my scissors. Okay, now, this is going to be one of the flaps. So I'm just going to angle in and snap it off right there. And angle in and snap it off. Now, you got to remember these flaps don't have to be the perfect width within themselves. The main thing is that they are wide enough that you can put adhesive on them. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put this in here so we can score. Now you're going to want to score where you turned to cut out the flaps on the side here. You're going to want to score right across here. So you want to line it up, and if you've got everything cut like you're supposed to, it should come out fine. And then I'm going to score right here. Now, if you start to do it and you find that you're not over far enough, just slightly move until you know that you're going to be able to score correctly. And I'm going to fold it so you can see where we scored. Right there. Okay. Now, I can do a tall envelope or I can do a small envelope. I want to do it on the smaller size. So I'm going to cut to about probably 1.5 to 2 inches off because I want this to be the big side of my, let's start with 1 inch and we can always go back and cut again. So there we go. Okay, now we're going to do this side the very same way. Going to line it up and score just to the inside of the score line. Make sure everything lines up. And then you put your cutting blade down. And I'm going to make it about 2.5 inches maybe. It's going to be real close to that because I don't want it super big. So I'm going up to 5.5 because I've already got, you know, a couple made. So this will end up being the third one. Let's see. Let me see. I'll line this up. No, I did that wrong. I want to slide it over this way. I kept thinking, why is that not where I can see better? Okay. So you know that you want your envelope to be right along that cut line because on the top because you know it's going to have to match up with the score line. Okay, so let's see what happens. I think we should go up to 5.5. Oh, and that's another thing. You got to be careful and make sure you hold your paper when you get it on the edge like this because when you go to cut, it will move your paper. And so that's why I kind of go slow when I'm doing this, just because I don't want to. Okay, now we can move the cutting board. Well, we'll go ahead and cut this out first. So you've got these stragglers, so you cut them off. And see, there's no real measuring that I'm doing here because, you know, now, yes, I'm wasting paper. I could do this with half the paper. but I want to show you the easy way to do it where you don't have to measure. If you want to measure, do a few of these and get it all figured out with some scraps, and then you'll know exactly what measurements you need. So now I'm going to bring this other side in, and I'm going to line it up so I want to make sure it's straight here and straight here and here. If you've got everything on there just right, you shouldn't have any problems. This takes practice, and that's why I said to get some scraps. Now I'm going to fold this line. I have got glue. Looks like I have little boogies on my fingers, but it's really glue. Okay, now you can see how long that is. That's way too long. So we're going to let this side, I'm going to need to take off about a ½ inch on this side. And I'm just lining it up, making sure everything's straight on the lines. I don't really have it up against the bar. I'm just lining up the lines this way and this way. And I'm going to cut that off. Now, I don't do anything to these corners that are coming up this way. Yeah, it's still a little bit long, so I'm going to cut a little bit more. Okay, now, yeah, that's better. Now I'm going to fold in my tabs on this side, and if your scoring is off at all, you can rescore, or you can just fold it on your own. Most of them I've had right. This one I want to score in just a little bit because I feel like it'd be easier because this is so small. And it's hard whenever you're doing it on the ragged edge here. Let me see. Gotta kind of feel and see where the score line is. Okay, let's see if this is gonna work. Yeah. Now, that is off a little bit, but that's okay because I know exactly where I need to go. Let's make sure this side is on. For some reason, one side of my paper is slightly off, but again, that helped it just then. Okay, set that to the side, and I'm gonna fold my flaps in. And again, the flaps don't have to look perfect. I just almost tore that. You have to be gentle, Paula. You can't be too rough with it, you know, because you've already kind of roughed it up a little bit doing the whole. Yeah, see, when you don't get this in perfect, it will show. Because this is just a box type envelope. It's not like anything fancy. But it serves its purpose. Now you can see this is off a little bit. And I don't know how I did that, but I sat and made several and did just fine. But you can just straighten it up if it's off. If it looks off to you, see, like this is going to make a difference. Now, I'm going to fold this over. And I've already put my cutting board up, so I'm going to have a little bit of an edge over here. So I'm just going to trim it. You just have to kind of play with it, guys. And I'm going to make my flap, since there's a line on this paper, I'm just going to freehand it. Now I'm going to get my corner rounder, and I'm just going to round the corners. Again, I'm doing this kind of quick, but you know, I don't do things perfect all the time. Okay, so it's real close to being perfect, but I'm going to trim a little bit on this side too. You just want to make sure you're trimming only on the sides and not on the actual folded in tabs. Okay. Yeah. It's hard to see because it's so white, but there's your flap. There's the bottom. See? And if you open it out, you can see that we're going to put glue on each flap. Don't overload it so it doesn't seep in. And we'll ink it after we put it together. There's no sense in inking it beforehand. And you can make this flap as long as you want. Like, I think that's a little long, so I'm going to trim it again. I'm not real good at just freehanding. I have found that out over the years. Every time I think, oh, I can just cut that, I end up with one side wonky. There's my made-up word, wonky. I think I used wonky the other day. It's kind of in my vocabulary. There we go. That looks better. So it's shorter on that one side. Okay, guys, I'm not going to keep you any longer because we've been on here for going on 45 minutes. I know it doesn't seem like it should be that happen that fast, but it did. So I'm going to be done with this video, and I'll be working on another video that will have a little journaling book, and then I'll do a flip through in the next video, and then we'll be back at this book working on some embellishments or whatever. Okay, guys, I hope you have a good evening, and I will talk to you next time. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know what they need to know about me. Okay, guys. See you later. Bye.